The path to the AMA Championship is a marathon, 12 rounds, 24 motos, spread out over 105 days in the hot summer sun. Even the best riders make mistakes.
Oh! Reed launches! We got trouble!
A slim 7 points now separates 3 riders at the top of the point standings. The drama of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship begins right now, live from Washougal, Washington.
We're just a half hour away from Portland, Oregon, as well as the scenic snow-capped mountains of Mount Hood and the Columbia River Gorge for round 8 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. From Washougal, Washington, it's the Peterson Cat Washougal Motocross National. Hello everyone, Jason Wygant welcoming you to Speed's live coverage of AMA Motocross, our 450 class coming up in just a moment. Let's give you some of the big picture storylines we're going to follow as this championship chase keeps tightening up. How about Chad Reed? He indeed cannot fly. He tried last weekend at Millville, Minnesota. Big crash, came down to earth, bounced back up incredibly to finish 14th, but the points race has tightened up because Ryan Dungey and Ryan Villapoto went 1-2 in that race. So now Reed's points lead is down to the slimmest of margins, and just in time for Ryan Villapoto because this is his home track because he hails from Washington State. So the Ryans are beginning to stride, and Reed, meanwhile, has to try to bounce back from a very, very big crash last week. What's it like 7 days later for your series points leader? We had a chance to talk to him about that. Here's Chad Reed.
First moto, it was great. I won comfortably, and second one, I got a great start. I was second behind Ryan, and I felt like I had just a great push, a good setup for the day, and I love the sand whoops, and passed Ryan there, and I was set to try to get after it, and obviously after that, I came crashing to the ground.
He is fired up here in the number 22. Oh! Reed launches! We got trouble! Chad Reed is down and down hard!
The front kind of went first, and then when you watch it on TV, the rear goes as well, but I didn't feel that. I just felt the front go. In my mind, all I felt was just a big jar of the handlebars, and then the next minute I'm flying through the air thinking that this is not good. When I was on the ground, I was trying to get my breath, and then, as you're starting to get your breath, I do the body take, feel your arms, your legs, your wrist, and everything felt pretty intact. So once I regained my breath, my instinct was to get back on the bike.
Are you kidding me? Chad Reed is back on the motorcycle?
I'm 6 points up, and we got, 5 weeks to go, and I'm ready. I'll bring it and try and race these kids all the way to the end.
Well, Reed amazingly got up from that crash and finished that race in 14th place. He scored 8 points in that moto, and when you look at the series point standings, you see how big those 8 points are. He has a 7-point gap over third place Ryan Dungey and 6 over second place Ryan Villapoto. So for the moment, Reed has been able to stave off the challenge from the young Ryans. So let's give you more information on this race with a pair of progressive pre-race reports. Let's first send it down to Jeff Emig in the Kawasaki pits.
Back in May, Ryan Villapoto wrapped up his first AMA Supercross title. But the Motocross Championship this summer did not start the way that you wanted to. But now, we're here at Washougal. You're only 6 points down. What's it going to take to win this title?
I think it's going to take consistency, but I've been decently consistent, I think. But we just need to get some overalls, get some 1-1 finishes. We're making little improvements every week on the bike. This is really my first full season of outdoors, so I think everybody's learning things that we need to improve on. But yeah, we'll get out there and go for those moto wins and overalls.
Now this track here in Washougal is your hometown race. You grew up only 2-3 hours from here, and you've never won the overall here. What's it going to take to lock down the overall here today?
I think obviously good starts and just 2 solid motos, but it just seems like I've only been able to win. Especially this year, just one or 2 motos, but I think for me, just like I said, good starts, consistent. We'll get out there and see what happens.
Ryan Villapoto looking for 1-1 moto finishes today. will tie him at least in points and finally give him his first overall at the hometown track.
Ryan Dungey sporting the #1 plate as a defending motocross champion, and last weekend we witnessed him capture his second overall victory of the season. Ryan, you did this in front of your Minnesota State family and friends, and we noticed that you were a more aggressive Ryan Dungey last weekend. What changed and why?
I don't think nothing changed. You know, I just try to get out there and get a good start and put ourselves in a good position. I think last week and being in front of the hometown crowd was definitely cool to pull off a win there. But I think at this point, just try to keep winning races, get maximum points, and get ready for the try to be there in the end and in the closing.
5 rounds left to go, 7 points behind. How do you approach these final few rounds?
Normal, you know, just the same as we have been. I think just try to keep at, you know, getting up to a good start each and every moto, taking one moto at a time, not getting too far ahead of ourselves. And team's doing a great job. Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, everybody on this half is doing awesome, and just got to keep plugging away and having fun.
Best of luck, Ryan Dungey. He's won here 3 years in a row. Looking for today to make it a 4th.
Now that you've heard from the 3 fastest motocross riders on the planet, it's time to drop the gate on round 8. Jason, Jeff, and Aaron are ready to call all the action when the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship returns to Washougal.
Welcome back to Washougal. We are almost ready for 450 Moto 2, but first let's check out our track map, brought to you by Kawasaki in the 2012 KX450F, fully equipped and race ready. Let's have at it, Jeff.
What a fantastic track we have, and as always, these riders talk about the start. You've got to get around this right-hander, up horsepower hill, over the top, and if you do that, I believe that that is going to be one of the key points to winning the overall in the second moto here. The highlighted section, of course, comes back downhill. You kind of go through some jumps, back up, back down into the shadowed areas of the track, make a tight right through the whoop section, through the Lucas Oil finish line, up this set of zigzags that bring you back around to the Makita Mechanics area. That's a lap at Washougal. Let's go on board with our GoPro on board. Now, what this illustrates, one thing is kind of the shadows of the track here. This is earlier today in practice. Also, if you notice right in the center of the top of your screen, there's a little bit of roost on the camera. Now, in this situation, you can pull a tear off and have a clean lens.
Let's show you the highlights of Moto 1, which was completed earlier today. Off the start, 2 of our 3 championship combatants are immediately into the #1 and 2 position. You've got the 2 of Villopoto on the green and the 1 of Dungey right next to him. Chad Reed, meanwhile, is buried. He gets stopped when another rider goes down in turn 2. Villopoto sprinted. He got away from Dungey on the opening laps, but Dungey just wouldn't give up, Jeff.
Dungey put on a charge, and he started to close it in, but his fellow Australian, Chad Reed, was way outside of the top 10. Passes another Australian here, Michael Byrne.
Yeah, and Reed had to keep digging. Here is Andrew Short making the move on Justin Brayton to get inside the top 5. Dungey was able to close in on Villopoto, but watch this. Grabs too much throttle out of that corner, loses the back end, and that essentially ended the battle for the lead. Villopoto takes the first moto win over Dungey, and Chad Reed struggled coming through traffic. Yeah, he made a couple of passes, but not as many as he wanted to, and the results in that one, he ended up, I believe, in the #7 position. So if you're Reed, you've got to make up ground in Moto 2. Here is your starting grid at the top. Pick your favorite. Watch for a couple of potential spoilers. Trey Kennard, who was 3rd in that first moto on the #41 Honda. He has proven he can mix it up with these front runners. Let's go racing live on Speed. Same story, it is Dungey and Villopoto out front just like they were. But now you get the 800 of Michael Alessi, who knifes to the inside and gets to 2nd ahead of Dungey.
Chad Reed with a little better start. I believe he's 5th or 6th. Let's see as they come over the top of Horsepower Hill.
Dungey going to try to get Alessi back around the outside. They've also got Kennard there with them in 4th. And Dungey knows if he's stuck behind a couple of riders, Villopoto can sprint early and get away.
Interesting part of the track there. They don't use that section too much. As you can see, it's pretty dusty. It's hard to get water up into that area.
Unbelievable what Villopoto has done with his starts today. 2 hole shots. But he's got his old rival, Michael Alessi, right there behind him. Dungey going after Alessi early.
But Dungey needs to make a move quickly on Alessi. He's got the speed to run down Villopoto, but if you let Villopoto get out front too far, it's going to put too much pressure on to make it happen quickly.
He's got to worry about Kennard. Kennard trying to get Dungey, and Dungey responds and holds off the 41, but he almost lost another position.
Jason, this is an extremely difficult time of the day to race here at Washougal. You notice the shadows from the trees. Great for the fans, providing lots of shade to keep them cool. But for the riders, as you come down into these sections, you see how dark the soil becomes now. They've worked on the track in certain spots. They've also laid down quite a bit of water in certain places. So this first lap, the track is going to be really hard and slippery. Tire choice is going to be important to have the right tire setup for your bike to compensate for that. Vision, of course, like I said, getting into those shadowed areas. And the final key is to be efficient. Villapoto was very efficient to first moto. He rode a great race. He's got lots of energy in reserves for Moto 2. He's going to need it.
All right, that was your Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com keys to the race. The key to the race for Ryan Dungey right now is to try to get around the 800 of Alessi. And we had talked to Alessi earlier today, and he told us he thought the key for him, of course, was a good start. Now, Alessi is known as one of the best starters in the business, but the last couple of weeks, we have not seen the 800 up front like this. He thinks if he can get one of these starts, he can at least keep pace with these riders for the first 15 minutes. That's his goal, to stay in the hunt, and he is right now.
Yeah, and I believe that the track...
Oh, Kennard launches, and he scrubbed it, I guess, too hard uphill, and came back the other way.
And this is a dangerous spot, Jason, because the riders are coming over that blind jump. Kennard goes down hard. He is grasping his left thigh.
And he is just back from injury, and he had a broken leg. We hope that has not aggravated that injury. Take us through this, Jeff.
Watch as Kennard tries to scrub it, and the front wheel taps, so the front wheel stays up. He augers in the ground pretty hard, but as he's trying to scrub it, he's tucking the front wheel down, and it touches, puts him into a looped out scenario. When he planned on having the front wheel low, the front wheel came up. Horrendous crash here for Trey Kennard, only a second race back after a broken leg.
Trackside medics are already there attending to him. Man, we hope he is okay. He was getting aggressive, trying to mix it up with Dungey. We figured that Kennard and maybe Alessi could potentially be spoilers, and Alessi already is right now by running in between Villapoto and Dungey, and Kennard wanted to be there as well.
Yeah, and to explain that scrub there, that's a situation where when you go over a jump, you lean the bike over on the takeoff, and so it takes your trajectory and flattens it out.
We are tossing the red flag out, and that means this race will come to a stop because, presumably, Kennard is in a precarious situation, and they do not want bikes racing through that horsepower hill where he went down, Jeff, is one of the fastest sections of this track.
And that blind area, I remember a few years back, Mike Brown being involved in an incident there where a rider went down and he got hit squarely, or vice versa. It's a very dangerous area if someone's laying there.
All right, so Kennard is still down, so the red flag is out. Obviously, you want to take every precaution that you can. Take us through this again, Jeff.
Pay attention, watch his front wheel as it taps right there, and it takes the whole momentum of the bike and the whole flow. Such a hard hit for Trey Kennard.
Yeah, and obviously he is coming off a leg injury, but who knows? That could be a knee, it could be a hip, it could be anything. So, and plus you can see that side of the track, there isn't enough room to drive one of the medic mules up there. So we'll sort this out in a moment. We'll come back, re-rack it, and go racing live from Washougal. Stay with us. Meanwhile, bad news for the number 41 of Trey Kennard. The Asterisk Medic team is attending to him. It was a huge crash that led to a red flag situation here before he went to break, Jeff.
Yeah, this was a really fast section of the track. A blind uphill jump where Trey was trying to scrub it. And what you do in a scrub is on the face of that jump, you lean the bike over and you kind of slide. Here's a look from behind. I want you to pay attention to his front wheel tapping. Right there, the wheel goes up, and see how it spins the rotation of the bike off from what he intended. Right there, it hits again, see, and then it throws the bike, rotates it the other way, and he goes over the bars, takes a pretty hard hit right there. This ground up here at Washougal is an extremely hard pack in that section.
Okay, well, it's good to see that they took all the safety precautions they could by red flagging this, so they didn't have to deal with riders on a very, very fast section of the track coming by with Kennard just off to their left. And that means we'll have to reset this race. Man, that Honda team has definitely been snake bit. Their other rider, Josh Grant, is out with a knee injury, and Kevin Windham said he was burnt out and he was the replacement rider. Might have to get him on the phone and bring him back. Speaking of being back, we will be back in a moment. Well, a chaotic opening for our second moto here live on Speed. Washougal, Washington, Trey Kennard with a big crash. The medics have attended to him. We red flagged the race. We are ready to restart. We were 3 minutes and 39 minutes into that race, so we will remove 3 minutes and 39 seconds from the 30-minute race duration. That is his mom there on the left with the blonde hair, Carrie Kennard. And unfortunately, this is a situation they have been in before. He did have a leg injury coming into this series. Aaron, any reports down there on Trey's condition?
Well, guys, not too much to report at the moment. We're witnessing him on the mule at the moment, getting loaded into the ambulance, but he is complaining of pain in the exact same spot in the left femur, which was the one that he recently had injured. So not too much to report, but what a tough day and a tough Washougal for Trey Kennard.
Yeah, because the coincidence here is that in 2008, he was battling in the 250 class with Villopoto and Dungey and broke that leg for the first time at this track.
Yeah, watch it right here. He gets up over the front of the bars, and then right there when he hits the ground, that's the impact on the leg. And so here we go. Villopoto and Dungey are going to re-rack this thing. Now Reed, he was 7th on the first lap, so he started just outside of the top 5 on the first start here. Fellow Australian Michael Byrne had a great start. He was up inside the top 5 also. For Chad Reed, this may be the do-over that he needs to put himself back in there. And I'm telling you, if the 1 gets in front of the 2 off of this start, both motos, they drag race. It was like a carbon copy.
Right.
This might be what could change this whole thing. And remember, Villopoto's never won here. How frustrated could it be if it went negatively on his part?
Yeah, exactly. He had the whole shot. And as we like to say, will justice be served? Will he have the whole shot again?
Let's see. He's going to have to earn it. I mean, he is so on today.
Yep.
His corners are flowing. The starts are great. Kawasaki looks like they've got the bike dialed in for him. Trying to get the monkey off his back here.
And there is Dungey lined up, and you can see the missing gate position. That was Kennard.
Kennard right there, 3 to the inside.
Because they do pick their gates by order of where they finished in the first moto, and Kennard did finish 3rd in that moto.
Now also, if you remember off the first start, that rider that was on the far outside, he actually had a problem with the bike where it didn't start. And that was, I believe it was
Greg Crater,
one of the locals.
So a couple of reset chances for riders like Crater. For Reed, who didn't get the start he wanted, even for Dungey, who was running 3rd when we red flagged it. We are re-racked and ready to go racing again here at Washougal. And I don't think Villopoto's going to get it this time. It's Dungey out front, although Villopoto and Justin Brayton of the number 10 right there, and Reed tucks in on the inside.
Chad Reed tucks in. He's right there next to Brayton as they drag race up Horsepower Hill for the 2nd time here in Moto 2. Dungey making good on the restart out front.
And Dungey launching and then landing in those ruts. He is putting on a full sprint on this first lap.
And this will put the pressure on the number 2 of Ryan Villopoto. There will be a sense of urgency knowing that, hey, Dungey's been sharp here and he's been strong the last couple of weeks. Now I'm going to have to work extra hard here in front of my hometown crowd to try to win my first overall here at Washougal.
And Brayton doing a good job on the Muscle Milk Toyota JGR bike in 3rd, holding Reed back. They're sorting out their lines, figuring it out, as you got the 1 of Dungey and the 2 of Villopoto reversed from where they were before the restart. Villopoto is coming after it.
Wow, they are all over the track trying to find some good lines. Moto 1, these riders started with a fairly fresh track, not too many bumps. By the end of that race, it was extremely rough everywhere, and you add on the fact that here at Washougal, the roost coming off of the rear tire, that dirt that sprays up, hurts more here than any place on the circuit.
Look at Villopoto trying everything to get around Dungey, and he almost does. That is a turn where there's usually not room to make passes, but he gave it a run.
He's fired up, Jason. There's a sense of urgency also. This is for the overall.
And now he's going to go to the inside. Dungey on the outside.
This is only the first lap.
Yeah.
And they're riding at an intensity level and with the urgency of the championship being on the line.
Well, it's almost a chess match here right now because Villopoto has been very quick through the first half of these races. The second half, as of late, Dungey has been the man coming on strong. So I think Villopoto knows he didn't pass him in the first half. It could be tough to get him in the second.
I tell you what's going to be tough is for anybody to catch these guys. Reed is up into second, but look how far behind he is. When we get a wide shot, try to find Chad Reed in the background.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they put several seconds on him as he was battling with Brayton, but I don't know if that was Brayton holding him up or just the fact that Dungey and Villopoto are on it right now out front.
I'm telling you, having Dungey out front like this just adds this level of intensity for Villopoto. You can see how determined he is. He is riding the outsides, the insides, whatever it takes. He is finding smooth lines. He went from left all the way to right to the outside here in that turn. Look at the riders zigzagging all over the track here to try to find a place where they can apply the pressure, the power of these 450cc engines.
Well, he's applying the pressure too, don't kid yourself. And look at the fans there along the fence line cheering for Villopoto, the Washington State native, who again has never won here at this track. Meanwhile, Dungey has 3 consecutive wins, 2 on a 250 bike, and last year on the 450s. But of course, Villopoto was not here last year. He was out injured. So really hard to pick a winner in this battle. And a little mistake there from Villopoto, and that allows Dungey to squirt away just for a moment. But you know Villopoto's going to try to bring some more heat.
No doubt, but Dungey has been so smooth today, even through the 2 qualifying practices. I was so impressed with his patience and his speed that he was riding relatively easy, but his speed was there and his lap times were fantastic.
Here's some speed, the 24 Metcalf. Rockstar Makita Suzuki manages to put it in front of Brayton. So Metcalf going to 4th. He wants to measure himself against these 3 riders who have been dominating the series, and that is Villopoto, Dungey, and Reed. Metcalf has a chance here running in 4th, and Reed is in front of him. Then it is Brayton Hahn, Jimmy Albertson, Jake Weimer. Mike Alessi is 9th, and that's probably the rider who came out the worst end of the deal with the restart, obviously besides Kennard, who is injured. But Alessi was 2nd on the first start and is now 9th.
Yeah, he's right there, and he's followed, rounding out the top 10, Michael Byrne, who was 5th on the first start. So they had a 2nd and a 5th. Now they're 9th and 10th.
Here's
but it's a
Hahn.
Yeah, it's a do-over for certain riders. Look at Tommy Hahn here on the Moto Concepts Yamaha, putting in a fantastic ride. He's had some really good speed, but he's also hit the mat a couple times this season.
There's Alessi trying to make up for that bad start. He's got to battle Jimmy Albertson, who last week was number 108 on a Honda and is now on the Valley Rockstar Yamaha team.
Watch this as Albertson goes to the far left. Alessi's like, okay, I got to get over to my right here, and I got to get out of the roost because up horsepower hill on a 450, that stuff hurts, Jason.
There goes Alessi to the inside.
Wow.
And he gets aggressive. You don't often see that out of Alessi, but that sense of urgency that you keep mentioning, they are all feeling it early in this one.
Well, and it's a sense of urgency, and when you have that, your intensity just increases, and you just are fired up. Like the riders at the front right now, Dungey was a 209, Villopoto was 2 seconds off at a 211. The group we're watching right now with Weimer is a 216, Alessi was a 215, and then Byrne is a 217. So you can see quite a bit of difference because Dungey is out front flying right now. And he, like I mentioned earlier, he's almost the most patient, it looked like. So I think that there's something to that here on this track at Washougal, to setting the fast lap times, to being patient, flowing through your turns.
Here is Alessi attacking Weimer, who had another disappointing first moto. He finished 15th. Had a crash at one point, was out of the top 20. Trying to recover here, but no time to recover because Alessi has taken the position away. So that will move Alessi up to 8th.
Yeah, that's a big disappointment right there when you get to start and say, okay, what can I do with this? And then riders are starting to go by you. It's frustrating because at that point it becomes so mental, and your mind, the gremlins just come into your mind and you're trying to put it all together. And in this situation, I talk about when things start to happen fast in your head. All of a sudden, you're turning Weimer turned to 2:15 lap time, but in his head, the speed was going like he was at a 2-minute flat, and then that it gets hard to focus at that point.
Okay, so after taking on a lot of pressure from Villopoto to the first lap and a half, Dungey has settled in, turned in a fastest lap of the moto so far with a 2:09, backed it down to a 2:10, but Villopoto was only able to match that, so the gap is at exactly 2 seconds between those two. But look at the clock at the top of the screen. 20 minutes and then 2 laps to go. You've got to figure that Villopoto is going to have another attack in him before this one is over.
Did you see Dungey there? That inside line right there, he went through that, perfect execution. Just so smooth through there. Applied the throttle coming back up the hill into the shadows.
How about this? Metcalf challenging Reed for third. And we went over and talked to Reed's team between the motos, and I don't know, they weren't saying that he felt injured, but you have to wonder if Reed is indeed at 100% after that big crash last weekend. Although, to Metcalf's credit, he definitely has been stepping up over the last couple of weeks. Right now, he is giving the 22 all he can handle.
Yeah, no doubt. Metcalf has been getting a little better with each passing race, and as you get deeper into this championship, historically, Metcalf is really good at the end of the season. We saw last year when he locked up second place in the championship in the final round where him and Andrew Short were battling it out. I do believe that Chad Reed, though, there's a little edge taken off, a little bit of that intensity and the comfort level at that pace that he's been on the last month or so. Doesn't quite have that spark and that intensity that he had the previous weeks.
And Justin Brayton, who is in 5th with the number 10, they haven't dropped him. He is still there in some of the tighter sections of the course, so they got by him quick, but he's trying to hook on. Look at Metcalf all over Reed through these turns. And then you've got Brayton and Hahn, and these two were in a battle in the second moto last week in Minnesota. It's kind of funny. It's a thing in motocross where almost no matter where these guys start, they end up hooking up in the same positions. Oh, Metcalf has made the move on Reed, and that is huge in the championship standings. 2 points here, the difference between 3rd and 4th, but I'm telling you, and when you look at the whole championship, as close as this is, those points are so valuable. All right, we've been talking about the 22, but what about the 24? Aaron, what are you hearing on Metcalf?
Brett told me that was the best moto of his entire season during moto number 1, where he finished 4th. He said it gave him back the confidence that he needed, and he's got some swagger in him. But you guys were mentioning how good he is through the corners right now. They did dial in the suspension. They made it a little bit stiffer. It's supposed to help him out, and apparently it is so far.
Now, if they're going stiffer with the suspension and the chassis setup, that means because of the track getting rougher, okay, more pressure on the suspension coming down those hills, he'd be getting into a situation where the suspension is bottoming out. Watch right here. Yeah, he's going to get to the inside right here. Watch, he just nails that turn, leans the Suzuki over, and just edges out fellow countryman there from Australia, Chad Reed. Pretty intense riding right now for Metcalf. He looks really strong on the bike.
Now, Metcalf said he had injured his wrist in Supercross, and he said when he was doing his outdoor testing, he was not quite at 100% speed, and he thinks that kind of misled him on some of the settings, because as the wrist got better and he started riding faster, that setup didn't work anymore. So this whole year has been somewhat of a work in progress.
Yeah, theoretically, the faster that you ride the bike and the harder you ride it, the harder that you'll land, the harder that you'll drive the bike into the braking bumps and the acceleration bumps. So you'll have to firm up the suspension, right? Make it harder to press, the bike down. The slower you ride it, the softer that it can be, the more plush that it would be. So faster you go, the stiffer it is.
Don't count Reed out, though. He wasn't the points leader, at least coming into this race, without good reason. He is one of the smartest riders in this game, and again, he knows how to measure the effort. Looks like he's going to camp out here on that rear fender of Metcalf and maybe launch an attack in the second half of this race. We'll see what happens. Can Reed run with Metcalf, or is he going to be bumped off the podium? Stay with us. Ryan Dungey trying to spoil the home track party for Ryan Villopoto. He is leading here in moto number 2, and if he wins this moto, he wins the day's overall victory. And it all came down to the start. That's why he has the lead. Let's give you the progressive pole shot replay. Jeff?
And the progressive restart at this point because Villapoto had both hole shots leading into this, but this one, Dungey gets the wheel on him. I predicted, I told you, I think if Dungey gets out front, that is going to be the key to the race. So far, so good. That combined with the effort and the great ride that Dungey is putting in, he's got 12 minutes plus 2 laps on his way, if he can lock it down, to his 4th Washougal overall in a row. 2 in the 250 class, 2008, 2009, and of course last year here in the 450 class.
And that 2008 win for Dungey at this track was his first ever in American Motocross, and he did it in a very similar situation to this. He was out front. They had to get around Trey Kennard, ironically enough. They got around Kennard, he and Villapoto chased Dungey all the way to the checkered flag, but Dungey never made a mistake, didn't leave the door open, got that win, and really that launched his career to another level. And he's got a whole bunch of championships since then. Let's catch up here with Mike Alessi, who is in 7th. And again, Alessi was 2nd. He was splitting Villapoto and Dungey early until they had to red flag this race and restart it. So again, besides Kennard, who is down and injured, if anyone had trouble by having the crash and the restart, it's Alessi. Because he might have been able to run for the podium today, but instead he's just looking to make his way up into the top 5.
Yeah, and Alessi has turned a 2:13.4 in this race. Right now, last lap around, he was at 2:15.7, so drop up the pace a little bit. And if you notice him, he's kind of searching around for some lines right now, trying to keep the motivation up. And it's difficult when there's no one in front of you, no one behind you, and you've got that gap. You know, you don't really have that motivation from another rider being around, as opposed to Andrew Short right here, who's got a lot of pressure here with Weimer, and looks like just behind Weimer is Albertson.
Short, one of his best races of the year in the first moto today, finished 5th. Now he is up to 8th behind Alessi and right in front of Weimer, who's 9th, and Jimmy Albertson in 10th. Pretty impressive for Albertson right behind them. Transition from a Honda last week, and then real quick got a test ride with Valley Rockstar Yamaha. Did a test with him, and they put him on the bike for the race, so he's racing on an entirely different brand and team than he was 7 days ago, and he's in the top 10. There you see him on the blue.
Well, yeah, and Andrew Short is on a different machine than most other riders, too. He's riding a 350cc KTM. They actually have Mike Alessi on a 450, and so Short out here with a little bit lighter bike, a little more nimble, a little less weight, but it also has 100 cc's less displacement.
Well, a lot of speculation about next year, just to add more drama to this title chase. KTM has admitted they are making a serious run to try to sign Ryan Dungey to this team next year. And
certainly sounds like a good move, good place to go.
Yeah, you would think the guy with the #1 plate who's winning the race might be one of the free agents you'd want to sign. They do like Andrew Short. They'd like to bring him back. He doesn't have a guaranteed contract to come back next year, but they do like him. But a lot of people wondering if they bring back Dungey, if they bring back Short, or even Alessi, will they be on 350s? Will they be on 450s? I guess time will tell. Right now, the 450 Kawasaki is right there against the 350 KTM of Short. And Aaron, what do you hear about Andrew Short?
Well, we already spoke about the rear suspension reservoir that the KTM team is running today, and so far it is working for Andrew Short. He said the bike feels completely different. It's got an entirely different feel to it. It's stiff, but it's working for him. But he said that he got his momentum back during that moto. It is the best moto of the season, and he's looking forward to continue on throughout the rest of this season.
And Andrew has been racing with some distractions, certainly a get well soon to him and his wife Jackie, their son Hudson, who has had some surgery on Friday. Certainly we hope for the best for his team, but he's got to come out here and do his job, which is race on weekends, and doing a good job of it today with that 5th in Moto 1 and in the top 10 here. Let's go a little bit further back. We talked about Albertson on the 108 and the 592 of Jake Canada, who also was pretty much unsupported privateer early in this tour. Came out, rode well about a month ago in Colorado, and picked up a spot on the Moto Concepts Yamaha team.
So a couple of replacement riders here for each team on these teams, and I tell you, I mean, I never had to switch motorcycles during the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough enough just trying to be used to your bike, and the teams work so hard with the riders to make the practice bike, the race bike, the test bike, everything feel the same, every time they get on the bike. In motocross, this is a type of sport where you have to ride. You have to be on the seat and get seat time to feel comfortable, because everything becomes so instinctual, and the bike becomes like a part of you, where you work as one with the machine. And so for these riders that are switching up bikes during the championship, that's really tough to do, to get used to that and to get that feeling, especially because the Yamaha being a completely different design machine than every other bike that's out there, it has a totally different feel.
A little bit further back, we see the 26 of Michael Byrne, the BTO Sports Butler Brothers Suzuki. And we saw his teammate, Jason Thomas, who is injured out with an ACL injury, but he is here today to help cheer his teammate on.
Yeah, and Michael Byrne actually just made a couple passes in the last lap or two, got past Simmons and Rookstool.
Then you've got Rookstool, 235, and then Ty Simmons, a young Australian on the J-Star JDR KTM. That's also a 350, right behind Nick Way, also on one of those Valley Rockstar Yamahas. And they're coming through that famous whoop section here, and behind them, the H67 of the Swede.
The Swede!
Yeah, Frederick Noren on the MX Heaven backed Honda. This is a good battle here.
It definitely is, and Nick Way, popular rider, veteran of the sport here, very popular around the pits in the industry. Found a great spot here with this team, but
Weimer won't give up.
He's looking for a spot.
Now, he was in front of Short at one point. Short got him, and Weimer wants that back. Here we go, up Horsepower Hill.
Now watch Weimer, bam, right there. He gets out of the roost, trying to get the horsepower from the 450 Cowie past that 350 KTM. I'll tell you what, though, the 350 looked pretty good up to Horsepower Hill. And I do think that this is the type of track where the 350 would perform very well, because it's not that deep, okay? There's not a lot of topsoil that drags the horsepower out of the engine, where you really need a lot of torque. If it's deep and muddy, the torque really pays off. But here, it's really hard packed. Horsepower would be the most important thing. And I spoke with Roger DeCosta earlier in the season, and he says, look, horsepower, we're there. It's the torque that we're having problems making, and that's just a displacement. You know, there's no replacement for displacement.
Yeah, and in Europe, KTM races that 350 bike with great success, and that was one of the things that almost confused the team. Why can that bike race heads up against 450s in Europe and not the U.S.? And some of the theories are because they prep the tracks differently here. Well, and when you dig that soil up deeper, what do you think?
Yeah, also, well, let's take a look at our leader.
Let's take a look at Tunji, who's on a 450, Rockstar Makita Suzuki, and he has extended it over Villapoto in a big way, 10 seconds. So I theorized at the beginning of this race, the way Dungey has been very strong in the second half of the motos as of late, that if Villapoto couldn't break him early, that he might not be able to do it in the second half. And I don't know if he can. Time is running out for Villapoto to put in a charge and finally get a win at Washougal. On the next American Trucker, Rob tests his mettle by working a full shift for an independent trucking company, then hits the road in search of 60 vintage big rigs. Don't miss American Trucker Thursday night at 10 Eastern on Speed. Ryan Dungey is checking out here in the second half of this moto. He has a 14-second gap over Ryan Villapoto, and the second half of this series has been his so far. He won the first race of the second half last week in Minnesota, and it looks like he might win this one. Wait a minute. Jake Weimer continues to attack Andrew Short. In the latter moments of this race, we have 1 minute and then 2 more laps in this one. Short cannot get away.
I like seeing this out of Jake Weimer. He's had some struggles this season, and I just really didn't think that his intensity was there, and his, obviously his comfort level hasn't been there. This is his first season on the 450, but man, he's letting it all out right here in the second moto at Washougal, and you can see he's using quite a bit different lines than Andrew Short is, trying to find a smooth line in some place to lay down the power here from the 450.
Yeah, this is a private duel. Alessi, who is a little further up the track in 7th. They can't see him, and then the rider behind them, Albertson, is about the same distance back. So it's just the two of them in a battle for 8th and 9th.
And their lap times reflected. 2:15. Hahn, who's actually up in 6th, he's at 2:17. Brayton, 2:18, Reed at 2:19, and 8th and 9th are still laying down 2:15 lap times.
Well, even
They're
Villapoto's only
flying.
laying down at 2:15. They're actually matching the speed of our second place rider because they are pushing each other hard. Here we go through this whoop section. And Short still holds Weimer off, and they did not get there by the time the clock had expired. So it'll be 3 laps to go, and then after this lap, we'll get the 2-lap board, start counting it down.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Weimer, I am sick of taking the roost off of the back of this bike because, I mean, I remember riding on a 125 here where there was very little roost. You didn't have to worry about it. Then when I stepped up to the 250 class, which is what this class is now, 252 strokes back in the days, the roost hurt pretty bad. Okay, now a 454 stroke, these things are monsters. The tire is actually wider on these bikes than when I raced a 252 stroke in the same class. There's so much horsepower and so much torque that the tire companies just had to build bigger tires. Bigger the tire, bigger the roost, you know?
Here we are uphill. That was Weimer's mechanic, Dana Wiggins. Pretty fast rider in his own right back in the days.
Wiggins 92, buddy.
Really? Okay.
That was his year.
All right. And he told Weimer to fight, and that's exactly what he's doing. And this is good to see. You know, it's not just the guys up front that are putting in the effort. You can't say that these guys didn't leave it all out there the way they're fighting all the way down to the checkers in this moto. 2 laps to go for Dungey. And as I was saying, second half of this series, he's looking for 2 in a row. And he should tie Villapoto on points for the day. So he came in here 1 point behind Villapoto. That was second and third in the series coming in. Now they'll be first and second. They will overtake Reed. There is Villapoto, who should leave as the points leader by the slimmest of margins, 1 point.
One thing that Villapoto will not leave with is momentum and that confidence if it finishes like it did. Now, on the other hand, Metcalf here at 24, huge confidence booster for the runner-up in last year's championship. But for Villapoto, it'll be a tie in points for first. He will be your points leader, but he'll know that Ryan Dungey put in a solid ride. And, you know, barring any sort of, you know, a mechanical or something that's gone on that we don't know about, Dungey will have the momentum leaving this event.
Now, let's not take anything away from Chad Reed. I know you've seen that crash over and over and over, but the reason we keep showing it to you is to give you an idea of the struggle that he faced this week trying to recover from that. And he is back in 4th place now. This is last week, Chad Reed in the lead early in the second moto. And just as brutal as it can possibly be.
Reed takes such a hit there. Knocks the wind out of himself when he hits here. Wasn't sure. See, he hits a big kicker. Front wheel goes, then the rear wheel goes, and it just ejects him.
Wow. And to give you an idea, as he got back into the race, we were in shock. When he was in midair, I thought that might not be the end of his season, but it might be the end of the career for Chad Reed. He's almost 30 years old, which is getting up there for this sport. And if he was going to lose a year or so with a back or leg injuries, I don't know if we would have seen him return to the track.
Well, and he's had to regroup. In 7 days, he's had to get back out on what could be a difficult track here if you don't execute properly. His body's sore. Wasn't really letting on to us, but I did talk to him. He says, look, I'm sore, I'm stiff here and there, but hey, I'm not going to worry about that. He knows that this is a damage control type weekend, and so a 7-4 on the weekend is damage control in my book.
And we will have 2 full weekends off, so plenty of time for Reed to rest and recover.
Exactly.
And with 4 rounds, 8 motos left in this championship, he can close back in on these guys. But Ryan Dungey, what did you say before? Momentum. Even Reed coming back healthy, it's going to be tough to tackle this guy.
It certainly will, and Dungey finally has found his stride, has a great weekend here. Even in the first moto, when he had caught up to Ryan Villapoto, who led the whole race, it seemed like that Dungey could go anywhere he wanted on the track, take an outside line, all that didn't work. But he still would be right on Villapoto.
Yep.
Try an inside line, make a mistake, whatever, he'd still be right on it. He goes down trying to make a pass, but huge statement here in Moto 2. And man, this is a huge momentum swing in my book. This has been a great day of racing for Ryan Dungey.
Well, you know, Dungey gets a lot of flack because every time he's asked questions, he pretty much gives you the same answer. But is that not what is paying off for him right now? The first half of the year, everyone's saying what's wrong. He's last year's champ. He's not getting the wins. What is the problem? What does he need to do? And he just kept saying, I'm just going to keep doing my deal, doing my deal, doing my deal. And lo and behold, is just doing his deal not starting to pay off for him now? He didn't reinvent the wheel. He didn't change much.
Yeah,
just kept plugging away.
This may be Villapoto country, but he's got some fans out there. When he dropped off that Lucas Oil ski jump, they're definitely cheering him on, because even if they're Villapoto's fans, you have to respect this ride here today, because Dungey has flat put it to him.
Yeah.
40 riders on the gate, and he is #1. And I'll tell you, it's been an interesting season for him. It's been an interesting year altogether after being back-to-back Supercross and Motocross champions as a rookie. First time that any rider had ever done that. And, you know, seconds and thirds this year, and we're wondering what's the matter.
And he was saying, nothing's matter. I'm just going to keep doing my deal.
Having fun.
Well, the mechanic, Mike Gosler, put on the board. Enjoy it, because he will have 2 weeks of knowing that he has won 2 in a row in this series. See his dad there on the right, running down there to congratulate him. The checkered flag coming out here at Washougal, and Ryan Dungey has won it. 4 straight victories at this track, dating back to 2008. 2 in a row in the series in 2011. And Ryan Villapoto on the #2 is going to leave as your new series points leader. But he didn't come here to get second place to Ryan Dungey. So probably a little bit mixed emotions there. But as you said, no doubt how Brett Metcalf is feeling. He is pumped up. He is going to put the Rockstar Makita Suzuki on the podium with 3rd place in this moto. And I believe that would put him in 3rd overall as well. Chad Reed was challenged by Brayton all the way down to the checkered flag. Reed on the 22 a hole. Brayton did not give up, and neither did Alessi. Where did he come from? He got to 6th. He passed Hahn late, and he nearly ran down both of them.
Reed and Alessi, 4th and 6th, only 2 seconds separating the two.
And there's the mechanic for Dungey, Mike Gosler, arguably the most successful mechanic in the history of this sport. He's just guided his man to yet another win. We'll talk to him when we return. Welcome back to Washougal Motocross Park. Our second 450 moto is complete. Let's show you how it broke down with our Lucas Oil race recap. This changed everything. Trey Kennard was in 4th, this huge crash, and the Honda rider had to take medical attention, so we had to bring out a red flag. Ryan Villapoto was leading this race when the red flag came out. When we restarted it, there's Villapoto in the #2. Gets pushed a little wide. Ryan Dungey takes the lead. Villapoto attacked him hard after that. But he couldn't hold, he couldn't get around. Meanwhile, Reed was in 3rd. Brett Metcalf made the move around the 22 to take the podium spot away. Villapoto couldn't hang with Dungey all the way to the finish. Dungey wins the moto. That gives him the overall over Villapoto. And Metcalf, with his good, strong ride, finished 3rd in the race and 3rd overall. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates with our winner.
A dominating performance today by Ryan Dungey. And Ryan, you were just out of control, in control out there, everything you could possibly be. Take us through this track and what it means to come out on top.
It means a lot, you know. I mean, we need to keep winning these races. That's the goal, and each and every weekend out. But that second, we had a restart, got off to a good start, you know, and just tried to put the laps down, and had a couple mishaps, got a little hairy, but was able to come out with the overall, which was cool, you know. I think Team Rockstar Makita Suzuki did an unbelievable job, and as well as Dunlop and my suspension guy Adam for it was working today, man. Really happy with everything, and the man above for sure.
Chad Reed's mishap last weekend, did that re-energize your motivation towards this championship?
You know, not really. I mean, absolutely. You know, you hate to see a rider crash like that. It's nasty. It's a tough sport, but I'm glad he's okay, and I think, you know, he's still in it. You know, there's a lot of racing left. Ryan Villapoto and Chad Reed, they're really going to be on my heels, so we need to go back and keep doing work. You know, it's a non-stop progress, but it's a challenge that I think myself and we all look forward to.
Enjoy that 2-week break.
Yeah, non-stop progress. Well said, Ryan Dungey. That results in this. A win in the second moto over Villapoto, Metcalf, Reed. Brayton and Alessi really closed up on that race in 5th and 6th. Hahn, Weimer, Albertson, and Short round out the top 10. Short, tough last 2 laps for him. He lost 2 spots, both to Weimer and Albertson. And let's send it back down to the podium.
Not winning the overall here in Washougal continues to elude Ryan Villapoto, but Ryan, you're smiling, you're happy to be back up on the podium. Is there anything that you felt that you didn't leave on the table today?
You know, I got two really good starts, and then you know, we had that red flag, which was a bummer because you know, Trey got hurt, but you know, we had to restart. I got an okay. I mean, it was a good start second, but obviously it wasn't like the first one. So just can't thank everybody at Monster Energy, Kawasaki, Dunlop for the great tires. You know, Parts Unlimited, Thor, Oakley, Renthal, everybody. Lord Jesus Christ, thank you guys, everybody.
All right, he's got the red plate. He is your new series points leader. Let's show you the overall results. Dungey and Villapoto tie on points for the day. Villapoto was 1 point ahead of Dungey in the standings coming in, so he will be 1 point ahead of him in the standings coming out of this. Metcalf on the podium in third overall. Reed and Brayton fourth and fifth. Let's send it back down to Aaron.
Brett Metcalf told me he doesn't like the word mojo, but you got your swagger back. And Brett, what is it about here in Washougal? Every time, every year, it seems that this is where it turns around for you.
Well, quick shout out to D. Smith, it's my swagger right there. But man, I don't know, every year I come here, I get better and better. And early on, I had a lot of crashes, so I hated it, but now I love it. So just happy to do it for the Rockstar Makita Suzuki, get it up there. Dunlop Ties got a great start this weekend, which helped. So I just had fun today. You know, I tried to take a little pressure off my shoulders, just go out there and enjoy it. Love being here, and had a great time.
Congratulations on a job well done today.
In this ultra-dynamic points chase, look at how much it's changed now. Villapoto and Dungey are close, and Reed is right there as well. It doesn't get much tighter than that. Metcalf solid fourth in the series. Fuel your passion for motorcycle racing with Speed Motorcycle Text Alerts powered by Yamaha. Get the latest motor racing results and breaking news as soon as they become available, sent right to your phone. Text MOTO, that's Moto, to Speed 3 for all the alerts. Do it right now. That thing actually lights up. Check out that trophy. It actually lights up.
I've never got a trophy that I had to plug in to the wall socket. That I'm so jealous right now.
Man, that's cool. All right, let's give you the Toyota upcoming schedule, of which none of the races, I believe, will have lighted trophies. Sorry, guys. We'll take 2 weeks off, then we're racing at Unadilla in New Berlin, New York. NBC will have the second Moto 450 coverage of that one live at 3 p.m. Eastern. Then we have another weekend off. Go to the Sand Track of Southwick, Massachusetts, Steel City in Delmont, Pennsylvania, and we'll have our finale live on Speed from Pala, California, just outside of San Diego. 4 rounds and 8 motos remain. That's your Toyota moving forward schedule in one of the greatest AMA Motocross Championship chases we have ever seen. And we've also got a great one going in the 250 class. Those riders are out on their parade lap. We'll have their racing live on Speed as soon as we come back.